Hey guys, it's Marvel DC Fan here, back in with another video, and we're doing another look at video, which I know I haven't done in a while, but yeah. But anyway, folks, today we're going to be taking a look at Super Mario 3D All-Stars, released for the Nintendo Switch back in September of 2020. So, when this game was announced during the Mario Direct, I was excited because, it was 3 Mario games, Super Mario 64, which I had played a ton of, and also Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy, which I never really played before. I played a little bit of Galaxy, but, whatever. It was all coming in one package and being released for the Switch. But another thing that kind of caught me off guard and kind of disappointed me was the fact that not only is it full price, which for its 3 games, I felt was a bit much at the time, but also it was a limited release. And one game that was kind of missing from the collection that everybody kind of wanted was Super Mario Galaxy 2. I still don't know why it wasn't included, but it didn't happen. But yeah, it came out and people bought it, and I didn't buy it because I didn't have any money at the time. But I was gifted this on Christmas by a family member who I will not name, but I will still thank regardless, and I still have thanked. But thank you. But for this video, I decided, instead of just talking about the games themselves in full, I figured what we should do is go through the subtle differences and changes for each of these versions specifically, and also just go through other aspects of the collection as a whole. So why not we start off with the game that pretty much launched 3D platformers, Mario 64. And this was a game that I played a ton of back, not only for the Nintendo DS, which was one of the first times I played the game. I played a little bit of it on the Nintendo 64 before that, but also I played a lot of it on the Wii U when it was brought to the eShop with a ton of other Nintendo 64 games. So I've had my experience with the game going through 100%. And, for this run through, it was a lot of fun, honestly. I was excited to pick it up again, and I had a ton of fun going through the game. But getting into the changes with this version, or the differences. For one thing, this is not the original release of Mario 64. This is the Shindo release that came out a year later, 1997, and I believe it was Japan only. But the only real thing to know about that version was, there was some bug fixes. So a lot of speedrunners like to use a trick known as the backwards long jump to pretty much skip major areas. So you can't really do that in this version. But besides that, just as in the collection as a whole, one of the major things that caught me off by surprise was the fact that some assets were changed and fixed. So it was, before then, it was either really pixelated or just kind of blurry. And one of the first things I noticed was the life counter when you start the game. Because, beforehand, it was just kind of a blob of colors and pixels. But now I can tell that, it is Mario's face up there. I mean, I always knew, but, it's made much more clear. But besides that, the trees were looked better. The paintings look a lot better, and even the text boxes they cleaned up, which was nice. Didn't really add anything, but it was still nice to see nonetheless. Besides that, though, the only major thing, the other major things that kind of bothered me about this is, for one, the game's not in widescreen compared to the other games, which are in widescreen. So it still keeps its 4:3 aspect ratio, and when you're playing it on a big TV, that can look bad in a sense. Also, the game doesn't run at 60 FPS, which the other games do. So that's kind of a bummer. And, there wasn't really anything, changed gameplay-wise about it, which I wasn't really expecting at all, given the announcement trailer. So, but it still would have been much needed, especially with Mario 64's difficulty by getting every star in the game. So, that's kind of a shame. But, despite having a ton of fun going back and replaying this, it was kind of a shame that, out of the 3 games in this, out of this collection, this one feels like it had the most work done. It had the most work on it, but also, not where it really mattered in a sense. But that's just me. But besides that, the game's still controlled relatively well. A ton of the stars are pretty easy to get. Like I said, I still had a fun time going through, but it's just like they could have done so much more with Mario 64. But anyway, moving on to Mario Sunshine, which this was a game that I never played at all. I knew a lot about the game. I've seen people play it. Friends of mine especially, they played it. But I never got a copy for myself and really experienced it firsthand. So the fact that it was, in this collection gave me an excuse to finally play the game. And just from first glance, the game looks absolutely gorgeous. It was always a good looking game, even back during the GameCube era. But especially on here, now that the game is in HD, it looks stunning, absolutely stunning. And one problem that was fixed during the launch was GameCube controller support, which when I started, that was my go-to way to play the game, was on the GameCube controllers, because I felt playing it with the Joy-Cons, didn't really feel right. And I did try playing it with the Pro controller, but, to me it just kind of felt unnatural. It worked, but, it was unnatural. So the fact that they added GameCube's controller support back in, it was pretty great. And for me, it's pretty much the de facto way to play the game. So if you are planning on getting this, I recommend also having a GameCube adapter on standby and a game controller to play with Mario Sunshine. But if not, then Pro controller is it's fine. It's still fine to use. But besides that, it's still the same old Mario Sunshine. It still has a lot of really good things about it, and also a ton of bad. Mainly if you're going for 100% like I am, which I can see where the criticisms lie with that, but it's still the same game. Not a whole lot has really changed, or at least that I noticed. So yeah, nothing really much else to talk about with that. So moving on to Mario Galaxy, which beforehand I dabbled in a little bit. A couple years back, I owned the game for the Wii, and I've tried going through playing it, but I just always put it down. Probably because I was just busy with other things, and yeah. But from what I've played, it was a good time. So I was excited to I was excited to have an excuse to play the game again. And At the time of this recording, I haven't started my playthrough yet. I'm still going through Mario Sunshine, collecting everything, and getting 100% of that. So most of what I'm going to talk about is from the gameplay I recorded, and a little bit of like off-screen stuff, which I'll mention a little bit later. But um, getting into it, like now that the game is in HD, like it looks just as good as it did back when it released in 2007. It still looks, it looks a bit better, the fact that it's in HD, but it's still a great looking game, and really, uh, you know, really took advantage of what the Wii was capable of back then. So the game looks great. One of the things that I noticed control wise was um, changed, because I played this with the Pro Controller. When I recorded this, I played with the Pro Controller, and um, the first thing that was great was the fact that there's a dedicated button to do the spin attack, which never bothered me back when I played this on the Wii. But I still liked having that button regardless for doing the spin attack, and it feels great. Um, but the other thing, which if you're playing with a Pro Controller, which is kind of awkward, um, you have to move with the controller has the gyroscope, and you have to move that to collect bits. So like you'll press the R bumper like to center it, and then you gotta move the controller around to collect bits and stuff, which is really awkward. But not as awkward as playing it on the gamepad, where you have to use the touch screen to collect bits, and that is just bad. Honestly, like, it just feels bad. And like, so if anything, I don't recommend playing Mario Galaxy in handheld mode. I recommend it with an actual controller. I think the best way to play it is with the Joy-Cons like by themselves, which is, I'll definitely try that out once I get to it. Um, but yeah, the Pro Controller just feels, the gyro, like I'm not a fan of using the gyroscope for collecting bits. But it still feels great to move around and use the spin attack and jump and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just that's really it for Mario Galaxy. So the biggest thing from that, besides it's a great looking game, but like control is kind of weird for all controller types in some fashion. Well, for two control methods, but anyway, um, I guess what we should talk about now is the extra features that the game has. So, like I said, they didn't include Mario Galaxy 2, which is a bit of a bummer because it's a game that is loved just as much as the original Mario Galaxy, and I'm not sure why that wasn't included right from the get-go. That and Mario 3D Land, but that's just me. But besides that, the only other things in terms of extras are the soundtracks, which the menu itself is like bare bones enough, but you have the three soundtracks, which are nice, but that's really it. So like there's no behind the scenes, there's no like other content that many other collections have done way better. Like this is pretty much just the bare bones minimum, which I'm grateful for the soundtracks because, uh, the soundtracks haven't really gotten, like an actual release on digital platforms and apps, but it's still kind of a shame that there's basically nothing else to this collection. So if anything, you're getting 3 games and 3 soundtracks. And the other major thing is that, well, the two major things is you know, they're charging this full price and this is a limited release. And it's going to be available until March 31st. Which, if you've been watching my videos, that's what I've been referencing with these videos. But it's kind of a bummer because you know for a fact, but by the time March 31st comes out, sometime later than that, we all know that they're just going to be putting the game separately on the Wii U eShop, and I feel like that's when we're going to get Mario Galaxy 2 along with it. So, yeah, getting into my final thoughts on this. The collection itself is kind of a disappointment. You know, there's some stuff going for it with the soundtracks and the fact that all the games are you know, good and fun to play, but there's not really much to that. And you're being charged that for full price, which I feel is just a little bit too much. If they put Mario Galaxy 2 in along with this, then maybe I could see the justification for the full price. But like besides that, I'm somewhat disappointed with the collection. But, you know, I feel this is still a great way to experience Mario Sunshine and also Mario Galaxy. But but yeah, if you want to get it, then you know, I recommend it, but I also don't recommend it for various reasons. I'm literally split down the middle because there's a lot of stuff that I like about it, but then there's tons of other stuff that in hindsight just make it kind of poor in execution. But yeah, that's really it. So we're gonna close the video off, and yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. You know, the fact that I'm doing these lookouts again, or at least for a couple of videos, because the next video for my lookouts is another Mario game that will be out be out until March 31st, which we're gonna talk about Super Mario 35. And honestly, I can't wait because that game is really fun. But anyway, until then, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Be sure to follow me on everything such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also I have a Discord server, which you should join. But anyway, I will see you all next time. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to take care of yourselves. See ya.